can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, guess any.
You're listening to Two Guys and a Wrestling Podcast on Northeast Streaming Sports.
All right, we are live. It is Tuesday night.
It's Tuesday night, so you know what that means.
We're copying JR. I just had to do it. Sorry.
Actually, he's copying Brody Lee, but yeah.
Yeah, we did have to start the night off on a somber note, and it's kind of sad. We were just talking about him. I believe it was Sunday or last
Tuesday.
And the video that had recently surfaced about the condition Mr. Wonderful was in, and here it is less than a week later, and he has passed away. And that was it was a very big loss for the wrestling world. He was one of the last of the old guard. And,
right.
You know, he's one of those guys that if you were a fan during the 80s, especially, that was like in his heyday. He was just about any major event that was going on, he was part of it somewhere, including the first few WrestleManias.
Yeah, actually, I just realized this, but all the Heenan family is now passed away.
Yeah, he was the last member. They're all up there in the big wrestling ring in the sky now. God help them all.
They're up there at Heaven Mania. So let's talk about, I guess, whatever you want to talk about.
Well, we had been talking about going over a little bit of what we don't normally cover, which is AEW and Impact Wrestling. I do have the card for Slammiversary brought up. Of course, the AEW is going to be airing tomorrow night on TNT. I do have the card from last week if you want to get into that.
We can do that.
I don't know if you watched it yet.
I've seen bits and pieces of it, so I can kind of put my 2 cents in on this.
You know, even as funny as everything goes with AEW, they can't even get the results straight. I'm actually looking at the results page, which normally when you're having an event results page on Michael, I pray he does. And honestly, and I was being a good boy because there's so much I want to say right now because it's Kenny Omega.
Actually, on top of that, let's talk about Slammiversary. And of course,
I didn't remember the Brainbusters being in with The
He
Heenan
was
family.
they were loosely associated with the Heenan family. It wasn't really part of.
I did forget Haku though. I'll
Anyways,
give you that.
let's talk about the Slammiversary card right now. Since Michael brought up Sammy Callahan, let's go into the Slammiversary card.
Okay, so here's the card, and this is the official card listing as on Wikipedia. So take with that what you will. That's about time for them to kind of go away. I'm starting to get tired of that in and of itself.
It's
Honestly,
just
the stuff looks.
it's just like in KEPW. You deal with one, you're going to have to deal with the entire family.
Right. But so first on the card, it has Eddie Edwards versus Morrissey in a singles match.
And if y'all don't know who Morrissey is, that's actually Big Cash from AWE. I like what they're doing with him, and I could see him beating Eddie Edwards.
Yeah, I did see a little of that. I did try to watch last week's Impact, and yeah, and I kind of like the look and the fire he's got with him. It looks like he's gotten into a whole other character from Big Cass, which he needed to do.
Yeah,
especially
he's
since
more
he doesn't
of
have Enzo anymore.
He's more of a giant monster character, which is what he should have been from the beginning. And
well, actually, I don't think I'm going to be totally honest. He wouldn't have worked as a giant monster in WWE. He didn't have the build for one. He didn't have the skill either.
I think he should have done the Indies for a while and then gone there. But
you know how they did the whole when he was coming out and he does the he's 7 feet tall and you can't teach that. Well, it should have been I'm 7 feet tall and that's all of that. Because I mean that was basically his level of talent was there. I'm tall.
Now that he's doing this Morrissey stuff and he's also wrestling more on the Indies, I actually do like where they're going with the character, and I could see him overcoming Eddie Edwards, and possibly down the line we could have a new Impact World Champion.
Yeah, I can see a lot of them doing that too. Kind of the Drew McIntyre, go away, form yourself, make yourself the character, and then come back.
Because I mean, look at what McIntyre did. McIntyre went away. He basically fell on his butt with the Chosen One thing. Goes away, went to Evolve, became their champion. Went to Impact, became their champion. Then comes back to NXT to a huge pop, and now he's the biggest star in WWE aside from Roman Reigns.
I think, and that honestly, that sucks, man. I mean, he deserves something. He ain't kids.
He actually was in Impact, but he got injured. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, that's pretty much the legitimate thing right there with that. He really didn't have anything else going for him. I mean, Enzo was the mouthpiece.
Well, I mean,
neither one of them had any talent in the ring.
They tried to break him up, and we saw how well that worked.
I can't put that one on the screen, but yeah, I remember when.
Yeah, we're not gonna put that on the screen since we have sponsors.
I can't put that one on, but I do.
Anyways,
that was one of my favorite scenes from WWE for years.
Anyways, let's go into
next match. We have Fire and Flavor with Kira Hogan and Tasha Steelz versus what? Havoc and Rosemary.
Oh my god! Basically, the Sasha Banks twins. Okay. What?
And we got Nelson. We got Nelson watching NXT now. We'll be covering that one too. Sunday.
But what? What? Am I wrong?
I couldn't tell you if you are or not because if I'm going to be totally honest with you, I don't know who either one of the four are.
Well, Rosemary.
Rosemary's the one with the weird eye thingy, ain't she?
Yeah, Rosemary was part of Decay.
Okay, I know who she is.
And she was discussed on coming into WWE as Sister Abigail.
Yeah, I know who she is now. I kind of started thinking back on that one, and I do know who Rosemary is.
But
other than that, I have no clue.
I'm gonna go against the grain on this one. I like Rosemary and Havoc, but the Sasha Banks twins, I gotta go with them, because they all three some ratchet. Never mind. But basically, I see a retention of Fire and Flavor with the Knockouts tag titles.
All right. Next, we've got a whole lot of stuff. This is a Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Title match where you have Violent by Design, Eric Young, and a whole bunch of damn people, or Rhino, versus
Actually,
Rich Swann.
The champions of Violent by Design are Coney Diener and Rhino. Those are the recognized champions.
So but they're doing Freebird rules with it as well.
They're
That's
doing the
popular
Freebird
right
rule,
now.
exactly. Eric Young, though, cannot compete because he's still on the injured list.
Okay. Rich Swann and Willie Mack versus TJP and Falaba.
Yeah, Falaba.
I didn't slaughter that. I'm surprised. And then fourth and final competitors in that are going to be the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows.
I'm gonna go
there.
with this. I'm gonna go with this. If it's not gonna be Rich and Willie Mack, I'm gonna go Good Brothers. I want to throw it up. Two sweet me one time. But I got the Good Brothers either winning this match or doing something to continue this, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I think that it could happen with the Good Brothers too with that. Or they're going to stick with it where they're going to be the flunkies of Omega still and just have a retain. Michael J's got Willie Mack and Swann to win. Definitely think that's bad for Gargano.
Gargano's going to win because Karrion Kross is coming to the main roster.
Yeah, I mean, they would. Yeah, right. Unfortunately.
I mean, because basically what they're going to do with Karrion is they're going to break him.
I remember that.
Yeah. Basically what they're going to do with Karrion Kross is break him off from Scarlett and bring him to the main roster.
Why?
Because that's what they want to do.
But, I mean, it's something they do with managers. Every time they come to every time they get brought into main roster, they kill the manager out. Managers work with some wrestlers. Some wrestlers need the managers with them. Granted, Cross is good on the mic. He's not in desperate need of a manager. But she adds something to the character. She adds something to the story. You don't.
I guess what Adam Cole said was right. All he is just a big muscled up guy that has an entrance and a valet.
Right. I mean, you look at, they did the same thing, which was the dumbest thing they did. Paul Ellering with Authors of Pain. I mean, that was stupid. You had the fans bouncing in their seats saying, this is the second coming of the Road Warriors, and the first thing you do is take everything that even resembles the Road Warriors away from them. They took out the mask. They took out the body armor. They took out Paul Ellering. And then they stuck him with Drake Maverick or whatever the Rockstar Spud's name.
Drake Maverick was first, and then they put him with Seth Rollins to be the muscle behind the Messiah. Then they got released, and then they both retired from wrestling.
After that, I wouldn't be surprised. All right. Next match, we have the Impact Knockouts Championship match where it's going to be Deonna Purrazzo versus To Be Announced. I don't know. To Be Announced is usually bad.
I think that person that's to be announced might be Ruby Riott.
Could be. Although it'll depend on if they make the same mistake as someone we're going to be talking about later, where they didn't bother to check the no compete clause.
Actually, I don't think. I think hers is the same as Alistair's. They didn't.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't change it from the NXT version, so yeah, I know. And Paul's getting a little older too. I mean, but it's just I don't know. I think the AOP needed Ellen. I mean, that was just it.
Or you could have stuck him with Paul Heyman.
Sure, but he was doing the Brock Lesnar. He was Phil Brock then.
Anyways, okay, so now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of Slammiversary.
Yep. Singles match between Chris Sabin and Moose.
I see Moose going over because what's Sabin done relevant in the last decade.
Yeah, that's another one. I think Moose has got that one by landslide.
Moose is going to destroy
Sabin, but
because Sabin had his time in the sun. He was X Division champion, tag champion, world champion. He's had his time in the sun. At the same time, Moose right now is that guy that I think is going to be the future of Impact Wrestling, if not the future of wrestling together.
Moose is hot. I mean, this is a guy that was hair from getting signed by the WWE, except Impact did a 2-year extension, and Impact isn't offering contracts right now.
No. So
they're signing short-term single appearance deals.
I think he's going to be the future of not only Impact Wrestling, but the future of wrestling in the next 5 years.
All right, so now we've got a whole lot of people, including at least one name I'm going to slaughter. This is the return of the Ultimate X match. Hasn't been one in a while. And for the X Division Championship, we have Josh Alexander, the champion, defending against Petey Williams, which I'm glad to see him back in, even if it is for one match.
He's been actually wrestling a lot more in Impact.
Really? So they're kind of bringing him back in full. I was always a big fan of Petey Williams.
I mean, he's still doing the Canadian Destroyer, which is now a setup move for everybody else.
Right.
But
that's stupid too.
He's been wrestling a couple of matches in Impact.
We got Petey Williams, Trey Miguel, Austin. Yeah, I was about to call him Austin Aries. Ace Austin, Chris Bay, Raja or whatever. That's the name I knew I was going to slaughter. I forgot to say that Ace Austin is coming in with Madman Fulton, and the name I just slaughtered is going to be wrestling or being accompanied by Shura.
I'm gonna go with either Josh with the retention or Chris Bay becoming a 2-time X Division champion.
And just for, the fun of it, because I like him, I'm saying Petey Williams. I know he ain't going to win, but I will.
I mean, it'd be funny if he did. It'd be funny if he did, though.
He was Little Papa Pump for a lot of years. He needs to get out there and do some Steiner math.
No.
Yeah.
That was the worst promo.
In a normal match, you have a 50-50 chance of winning. But I'm a genetic freak. And then when you add Josh Alexander and Ace Austin and the other guys and another guy, and you take that down and you add my 85 and 2/4% chance and my plus your 83 and a third and 27 and I have 765.8% chance of winning.
I'm done. So, are we getting to the main event, or is it the main event?
And this is the main event. We have Kenny Omega with Don Callis versus Sami Callihan.
Like me and you have talked off air at length about this. This belt collector gimmick has pretty much run its course, and I think Kenny's going to drop the Impact title first. It's going to be to Sami Callihan, and then, of course, Sami is going to be a transitional champion and drop the belt to Moose.
I can only hope. There was, an incident with Sami Callihan involving a baseball bat and a chair a few years ago. I can only hope.
Yeah, it's Eddie Edwards.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
And we can only hope.
Yeah.
Most people don't know how to get Access TV, and that's why Impact is in the position it's in. They're on what used to be known as the TV Guide channel.
Pretty much.
And when it stopped being the TV Guide channel, it stopped being carried by most television providers.
Pretty much. Actually, I think the TV Guide channel was Pop TV. Access TV is something different. And they do actually have their Twitch back up and going. Thank you, RVD.
And Nelson is saying if you have Sling, you can also pick it up.
But thank you, RVD, for ruining their Twitch.
Just a little bouncing.
That segment.
That's what I'm saying. It was just a little bouncy.
Yeah, but that segment, though. That's all I'm saying.
You know, in the early 2000,
I don't think that. Again, it goes back. It goes back to what we talked about before, Joel. The only way I'm going to believe that WWE is going out of business is when the going out of business sign comes up in the office.
Yeah. We're talking about the past when they actually Impact was a legitimate.
Don't get me wrong.
To them.
There was a time that it was that it could have possibly happened, but
that boat has sailed, sunk.
It wouldn't have. It wouldn't have happened because number one, for a lot of people who don't know, a lot of talent wasn't making living wages.
No, AJ Styles was on food stamps.
AJ Styles, the star of Impact Wrestling, the star of TNA, was on food stamps, people. Was on food stamps. Okay? While everyone in the office made money, he didn't. And it was like that for a lot of people.
Yeah. It was so bad, Billy Corgan was writing personal checks to talent.
Very much. He's the whole reason why Bound for Glory, I want to say 2016, 2017 even happened.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened.
He funded it purely. And while you're right, Dixie Carter was a lot to blame. There are two other names that are, well, three that are like down pretty much the reason Impact is where it's at. And that's Hogan, Bischoff, and Russo.
A lot of people would say Jeff Jarrett, too, because of where Jeff got with Karen.
Yeah. But I think had some other things been in place, mainly his father, I think a lot of things would have been differently.
Well, you know as well as I do, Jeff Jarrett was always a Vince Russo guy.
Right. And that's basically what it came down to was Russo and Dixie ended up getting in Jeff's ear, and his father basically said, listen, you either get rid of them or you get rid of me. And he picked them, and his father left.
Well, the reason why is because
his father ran one of the most successful territories of all time.
Here's the thing with Dixie. Dixie had the money. Actually,
her dad had the money. Panda Energy did.
Yeah, but she also influxed a lot of that money into Impact. Now, Jerry Jarrett, I'm sorry to say, his mindset probably wouldn't have worked with where wrestling was at that time. He probably would have stuck it to the original territory system, which would have worked, but it may not have been for a long amount of time. Impact probably would have went under in 6 months if Jerry Jarrett had stayed. Just putting it out there. That's just me. I could be wrong. I don't know.
And if you look, the method that they used, filming out of Universal Studios.
Yeah.
The stationary thing. All of that was just playing off of Jerry Jarrett's initial setup. He had the asylum.
Actually, that was a Bischoff creation.
Bischoff wasn't there yet.
No, but Bischoff had the idea to do a stationary thing with WCW. If you count,
but it didn't work.
Really?
If you remember right.
Okay, really? The Disney stuff didn't work. The Disney stuff didn't work. Explain to me how it didn't work.
Because they had to get it back out onto the road. WCW was floundering with Disney.
Here's the thing with WCW. Bischoff, he had a deal with Disney MGM. Great deal, okay? He was only going to be able to do that every so often. He couldn't do it every week.
That's what I'm just saying. And that's why I said it didn't work.
But it also made them a crap load of money.
Not as much, I don't think, especially at the time he was doing it, with the birth of the NWO just happening and everything else. He'd have made a hell of a lot of money hitting arenas than he would have been set in a Disneyland where probably 90, if not more, percent of the tickets were comped.
Oh, without a doubt. Just like with Impact, it's the same thing. Their tickets are comped.
Yeah.
Their tickets
But
are
see, when you're in a smaller town, when you're in a smaller stature than what WCW was at that time. I mean, at that time there was the WWF and there was WCW. They were the two titans. You know, Impact was still the kind of fledgling company. It was getting footing, and it was just starting to tour and do house shows. But
in essence, WCW was just getting its footing too, in a way. Because if you really sit there and think about it, WCW was not a profitable company at all up until the time Bischoff took over creative. Wrong or right? Wrong or right?
No, it had been in a decline. But you got to realize something else. It also had made more money in the early part of the 80s than the WWF did.
Oh, without a doubt. But again, that's because they were doing they were doing the whole territorial thing.
Yes, but that's kind of the whole thing right there. When you have already been an established brand, you can slip a little and still come back. It's different than trying to be an unestablished brand and run forward.
And Michael J., ECW was never going to be as big as WCW or AWE.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch of backup here. We got Vladimir Kozlov to the WWE. Yeah, well, when hey Tabitha, when Vince actually thought he was going to prison, Jerry Jarrett was the guy brought in to run the WWF.
Yeah.
He was going to be the guy to take over while Vince was gone. There was always a good working relationship with them. And that's also one of the reasons that the Memphis territory stayed in business until 1994 or 90. Yeah. I think it was 94 or 96. I got to disagree with the King one. I don't think they made a joke out of him at all. I mean, I think they did some comical type work with him in some areas, but all in all, the big red monster was always the big red monster. Exactly. Truth.
It just created more dimensions to the Kane character.
I love me some Ron Killens. I don't care if it's K-Quick, R-Truth, Ron the Truth. I don't care. He's too old to be a WWE superstar. He was never going to be that big. He's in the role perfect for him now.
Oh, yeah.
Nelson throws out that Sling has all wrestling except for SmackDown, which SmackDown's on their TV if you're interested. Yeah, ECW is just going to be ECW.
ECW was never going to make it past WCW or WWE. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to go into this whole tirade that I went in on during the group chat, actually. Hardcore wrestling has its place in the world. ECW did it, I wouldn't say overly a lot, but they pretty much killed it. But again, if it wasn't for ECW, you wouldn't have had Ring of Honor, you wouldn't have had TNA.
No. And I will say this, and this is where you get into the danger of hardcore wrestling. As we've talked about before, talking about like the old time Texas death matches and those kind of things. Okay, when you grow up on those kind of things, you take it to the next level.
Yeah.
ECW did that. They were a little more violent, a little more extreme, but still for the most part safe. They worked.
Yeah. Now,
well, the only way to top that is to go to the next level.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at now. People doing Canadian destroyers off of 20-foot ladders.
Now, contrary to what ECW did, XPW tried the same thing, except they took it one step too far. And also, there is discussion that XPW is coming back after 17 years. Like I said before, I don't think in this environment it would work.
I think
The
it's going to be
only
the same
way.
as any of the other ones.
The
I
only
don't think
way.
it'll ever make TV. It'll be an internet only thing.
The only way XPW would actually work, in my opinion, the same as yours, has to be internet based. And if they want to do risque with it, make it 21 and over.
Yeah, and it's going to have to be something like that.
And that would be the only way that XPW would actually work.
And I'm sorry, I love me some Sandman too. I mean, any guy that just walks to the ring drinking beer with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth and then beat the crap out of somebody with a kendo stick and just call it a night. I mean,
Sandman was cool. Sandman was cool in ECW, but when he came up to Raw, they took away his cane. He couldn't drink beer anymore. He couldn't smoke cigarettes. So what do you really got?
Well, they did that originally in WCW when he came in as Hardcore Hack.
Yeah, but he was still doing it to an extent. He wasn't doing it as often.
Then they dropped the beer, and then they dropped the cigarettes.
He wasn't doing it as often, no. And Tommy Dreamer is the heart and soul of ECW. Take that however you want to take that.
And I'll say this about Paul Lee. When it comes to a wrestling mind, I will put Paul Heyman against anybody. And that goes with my beloved Jim Cornette and all of it. I would still put Paul
Heyman has a great wrestling mind. When it comes to running a business, not
business, he's crap. And, you know, if you remember when Kane did take off the mask and did start changing, it was much like with The Undertaker and the American Badass gimmick versus, you know, the Dead Man. At some point, you've got to adapt a little. And if you remember,
have to change the character. You have to.
The mask coming off actually refueled Kane's character again. It actually made him a main event participant again.
Yeah.
He put on that huge, you know, just a massive amount of rage and fury that came, and it was awesome.
Basically, here's the thing. When a character like Kane or The Undertaker, or for that matter, Sting, gets to the point of their popularity, it starts going stale. Look at what happened with Hogan when he went to WCW. It started to get stale. Okay? They had to change it. You have to adapt your character. Yeah, that's the reason why someone like Eugene won't be talked about 25 years from now, but you're still going to talk about The Undertaker. You're still going to talk about Kane. You're still going to talk about Sting. Guys like that can evolve their character and change over time. That is the hallmark of a good character and a damn good wrestler.
And got a little bit of a disagreement there with you, Nelson. Injuries were far less prone in the old days when wrestling was really good than they are now when wrestling's not so good. So that says that they were doing something right then and doing something wrong now. And quote Jim Cornette, more of the good stuff, less of the bad stuff. That's how you succeed.
Pretty much.
And I do have a empty wallet that I keep as a keepsake because of someone who gave it to me and everything. I'd trust him with that for about 10 minutes and be like, dude, where's it at? But yeah, that's about as far as it goes with Heyman.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not even sure what that's a comment for.
Probably when we were talking about this one, the not even close, that was probably when I said I would even put him above Jim Cornette as far as wrestling minds go. Wrestling business minds.
Yeah.
And character and that stuff.
You gotta think, who did Paul Heyman learn from? He learned from Dusty Rhodes.
Yep. And his first major feud was actually against one of his first major feuds was actually against Jim Cornette in the Midnight Express. He had the original Midnight Express come in to fight the new Midnight Express.
What does
yeah, I will agree. Corporate Kane was a little bit down, but that was when Kane was in the kind of twilight of his career and getting ready to exit.
Yeah. But who did Jim Cornette and Paul Heyman learn from? Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty with Cornette it was more Watts.
But it was a mix of Watts and Rhodes.
But then when he got into the Crockett territory, then it became Dusty. And of course, there's nobody out talking Dusty.
No.
And of course, Nelson, he don't trust Paul Heyman.
Nelson, Nelson, you don't trust Paul Heyman. You don't like Stone Cold Steve Austin, but you'll about cuss.
Yeah, you gotta watch your mouth now.
But you'll literally give Hogan all of your money after everything that he's done. We're not going to go into that, okay?
But you gotta admit, of these standing, and I gotta play the devil's advocate on this one. Who's got more of the track record here? I mean,
don't get me wrong.
Happy Heyman.
I won't trust Paul Heyman. I won't trust him at all. But
that's like the guys that used to argue, the people who used to stand there arguing the whole, oh, Michael Jackson didn't do anything. Well, you gonna let him babysit? And they're like, stay away from my kids. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
You ain't.
I get it. I get the sentiment. I will never trust Paul Heyman. You could not pay me enough to trust Paul Heyman.
And especially if you're TNA.
That's what they did.
Yeah. I mean, when you come in, your first night in the company, the very first thing you do is come in, tearing up the script and talking about how you're going to change everything in the company that makes it unique.
Yeah. They took away the six-sided ring. They brought back people from the Attitude Era and the Monday Night War time, trying to get them over again. They made AJ Styles a Ric Flair clone, and we saw how well that worked. So yeah.
And Heyman is quite the portly fellow there. I don't know if you could throw him too far.
Just rolling down the street.
It actually reminds me of the story I'll have to tell you sometime. It's funny. But
and also that's not that technically this isn't the first Ultimate X match. They've had them before.
Yeah, it's just the first one in a long time. In 2 years. It's the first one in 2 years.
No, it's not. No, it's not. They had one at Bound for Glory too.
Then what?
They had one at Bound for Glory 2 years ago.
Read the comment.
They had one at Bound for Glory 2 years ago.
I'm excited about the first Ultimate X match in 2 years.
Oh, yeah, because they just don't have enough talent to do it.
They really don't. They had one 2 years ago to a comment that said they had one 2 years ago. Learn to read.
The last one, I think, I forgot who won that one. Dang, it's going to bother me.
I'm trying to bring it up on here.
I know that Tessa Blanchard was in it. I do know that.
And all this says is it returns. Doesn't say when it did it or when the last one was or any of that. Let's jump into Dynamite.
Okay, I just didn't see the comment because my rig light is really bright. And honestly, Amazing Red and AJ Styles, they did have some good matches. I will give them that.
Right. So we do have the Dynamite results. Like I said, this is a little all over the place. They didn't put anything correct. So we have, starting off, the first thing is in a South Beach strap match. I don't know exactly what a South Beach strap match is, but it looked like a normal strap match to me where you were tethered to each other and had to touch the four posts.
I have an idea of what a South Beach strap match is, but we're not going to go there. We'll talk about that later.
I thought they were I thought they were coming out in thongs, and I'm like, oh God, but then they didn't, so I was okay. We're going to do a little bit of.
That's actually what a South Beach strap match is. I've been in a couple of them.
Yeah, I bet you have. And I bet you won hands down. The second they got to look at you in a thong, they probably weren't running. I mean, damn, just the thoughts making me lose my vision a little bit.
Actually, I'm 2-1 in those matches.
Hey, we don't need to go know what goes on in your bedroom. I'll have to see about that, Mike. I don't know if you got it. But this was the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall of the Factory. Well, first off, I want to say this is, well, no, actually, it didn't lead to that yet. So, yeah, this match just happened. Cody Rhodes, of course, won because Cody Rhodes wins. They did start.
I'm done. Anyways.
They did start something, and this is where the compliment sandwich comes in for AEW this week for me. They did something very cool, kind of.
Mark it down, y'all. Mark it down. A compliment sandwich from the almighty piece. Never mind. Go ahead.
They started having the lights flicker and go out, just almost at the beginning, and just a quick little blop blop, blop blop, here and there, leading up, of course, to the lights going out and the debut of Aleister Black. And this is where the compliment sandwich comes in. The lights thing, really cool because they had been playing it up all night. So when the lights went out again, you're just kind of like, okay, the lights went out. They come back up. There he stands in the ring. Now, where we have the, you give constructive criticism, compliment, constructive criticism. It's the compliment sandwich. Make up your mind what you're going to call them before they debut. That way you don't have one guy calling him Malachi Black and one guy calling him Tommy End and another one calling him Tommy End Malachi Black. Because by now your fans are going, okay, that's a dude who used to be in the WWE. That's Aleister Black, so we're just going to go with Aleister Black.
Yeah, pretty much.
You've destroyed his identity now.
Like, here's what I was trying. I mean, I get where they were going with it because Tommy End and Malachi Black are split personalities, but like you say, you have to debut one personality first. If you're going to do with split personality, you have to debut the first personality first and then build up to the second personality.
Right. You can't just have the split personalities because then again, your fans are sitting there going, that's Aleister Black from WWE, so that's what I'm going to call him. You've killed his character.
Pretty much.
So, make up your mind what you're going to call your person before they debut. Good job with the lights and all of that.
That was really cool. I will give them that. That was really cool.
Before introducing split characters, introduce one first. Compliment sandwich. See? Constructive criticism, compliment.
Yeah. Now, the highlight for me is they're teasing Adam Page and Kenny Omega. Honestly, I think this is going to be if it becomes a rivalry, which AEW for some reason doesn't like doing rivalries. But if it becomes a rivalry, I would have Omega win the first one. I would have Omega get disqualified in the second one. Then the third one, finally have Adam Page win.
You're right. AEW does not like rivalries. They do not like No, I don't.
AEW is barely a year old. They cannot count the original All In show as part of AEW.
AEW has no identity. It can't establish itself until it gets an identity. They're the place where everyone's included as long as they're only on Dark because Cody and the rest of the elite are going to monopolize Dynamite.
Yeah.
We hear time and time again of everything. Everyone's saying everything that's wrong with the WWE, and I'm not here to fall on the sword defending that company. I have no ties to that company, and I frankly think their product is crap. It's been crap for a long time. The problem is AEW does all of the things that the WWE does wrong in spades, but are heralded for it and applauded for it. And then they do other things that show that they're just
Okay.
You can see the rookie company making the mistakes, except they're trying to play on a separate field. It's like we were talking about with Impact versus WCW back in its day. You know, an established company can fall a little bit because they've got that history and that foundation that's been built over a decade or 2 decades or 3 decades or 4 decades, depending on what company you're talking about. A new company that has no foundation, no footing, it can't. Because if it falls, it goes out of business. It doesn't have the strength to stay. WWE can take the hit. AEW can't.
Here's the thing. They can't say that they're established, honestly, because they're trying to be WCW and WWE from the late 90s. AEW does not exist. AEW is WCW and WWE from the late 90s.
And if anyone doubts that, besides the fact that they're on TNT, first off, there's Nitro, which is one of the ingredients in Dynamite. You know, they're doing the exact same thing. Almost everyone that comes open from WWE gets picked up. I mean, the only difference is, unlike during the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars, they were not actively after other talent from the company, major talent.
And honestly, if you want to go even further than that, here's the thing with AEW. They have a new show coming to TBS called Rampage. I seen the trailer for it. It's WCW Thunder. You cannot tell me it's not. The way it's produced, the lightning bolts coming out of everyone's hands, it's WCW Thunder.
Yeah. And I agree. Paige is better than Omega. A lot better. And thanks. We're glad you like it. And we got one more here. She's an AEW fan.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say that, you know, what they're doing is wrong. But at the same time, if you're a new company, create your own identity. Don't try to be WWE.
Well, see, here's the thing. And people talk about this. This is another thing a lot of people talk about, and it's probably something we will get into at one point. But when WCW went out of business, there were like something in the neighborhood of 3 million wrestling fans that turned off wrestling on Monday nights and never turned it back on. I was one of those fans for 6 years or more. I didn't watch wrestling at all. There was always the WWE type wrestling, and there was always the WCW Southern wrestling. So there is a market for the WCW style, but the problem is they're mixing too much of the new with the old.
Yeah.
And then they throw in the weird Omega stuff. You know, there's a lot of things that are wrong with the company, but there is things that they're doing good. And if they just, I think if they got rid of a lot of their cooks, got it under 1, 2, you know, people, and left it at that, let them work on it, I think it would develop more of an identity. And I definitely.
Basically, Basically, AEW is the breeding ground before you go to the WWE. Literally, not even that long ago, one of the guys from the factory signed a developmental deal with WWE to be at the Performance Center.
Yeah, we understood what you said.
So basically, AEW is, like Tommy Dreamer said in an interview, AEW reminds him of ECW in a lot of ways. Yes, you're right. It's the breeding ground for WWE.
I know. That's what, Nelson, that's exactly what I was talking about, the fact that they never came back. You know, I did. I was a wrestling fan before the Monday Night Wars. I was a wrestling fan, you know, so it was just, I tried to get into the WWE product. I didn't really get it.
A lot of people that were avid WCW fans was mad because WCW pissed them off at the tail end of WCW. Watch it. Watch WCW 2000 from January 2000 to December 2000, they pissed off their fans.
Yeah. God, I was one of them.
And
yeah.
Here's the thing. Wrestling fans are the most loyal fans out there until you insult their intelligence and piss them off. Then they go over and cut it off and don't cut it back on.
No. And they have their own brand, just not the when I say their own identity. When I watch AEW, and this is being totally honest, and I have been watching AEW. There are some times that I just have to stop for a while because I'm like, no, I can't take it. When I say the new and the old styles, like you get stuff that are like the Cody Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes match. That was a work of art. It was incredible.
It was a 1980s blood feud.
You know, some of the matches between MJF and Cody Rhodes was another incredible match. You know, there are things that show, and it's just they're incredible, and they make you happy to see it. But then they lose their identity by going into like the Young Bucks with the Super Kick Party, and to an extent, even though I'm not too bad with them, but like Jurassic Express, this guy's supposed to be a dinosaur, and they play a full clip of him and Jungle Boy playing in the jungle and rivers and stuff. It's like, huh? That's where they start to lose it. You can't be both.
He's a dinosaur with a master's degree. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I had to.
And I mean, and at least with them, like I said, I get them a little bit more. Like I can't stand Orange Cassidy, a guy that, oh God, I can't stand them either. You know, they're like the lowest. I will tell you how much I hate the Young Bucks. I would rather watch a Kenny Omega marathon than one match of the Young Bucks. The greatest tag team of all time, and I have seen more botches in one match with them than I have seen with any other 10 teams in the past year.
Actually, I would go one further. I would rather watch an all-day, all-night marathon of Orange Cassidy.
No, I don't even. I cannot. I am working hard here, people. Hard to filter myself. You know, and I can't with Orange Cassidy. I can't.
Are they really bringing Captain Insano to TNT? No.
I wouldn't be surprised because if I'm not mistaken, TNT. I think Warner Brothers owns the Waterboy, so they can. Captain Insano is owned by Warner Brothers.
Oh my God! If they do that, I swear to God.
If they do, they need Bobby Boucher to be the Waterboy to come out there. Get him some high color H2O.
When you are wrestling or opening up a can of whoop ass, you say you shouldn't be sweating quite profusely.
Yeah, so if they bring Captain Insano to W, you know,
did they trademark it? They trademark. Oh no. Oh. Come on, dude. This is worse than the Giant. Okay. At least the Giant had some semblance of a story. Oh God, no.
Right.
Y'all are gonna try to get me a heart attack, aren't you? Because seriously, this is bad. If they for real bring Captain Insano to TNT and make him wear that outfit again, I am no longer watching AEW. I am done.
We got it confirmed.
Oh my God! No. This is no.
Oh, hey, this is one for you. You know, I told you a while back I started watching the SmackDown from the beginning. What was the deal with everyone that was in from WWE that went to WCW? Them giving random people their music, like Howard Finkel coming out to the Ultimate Warriors music,
Oh, that's because
Linda McMahon coming out to Hulk Hogan's.
That's because WWF owned the rights to that music, and they were like, well, we're just going to put them in funny characters and see how it goes.
I just like that one got me though, because Jericho was doing the "You're a warrior, and then they okay, I get that, but Linda McMahon coming out to Real American.
It's like Donald Trump. That's like Donald Trump coming out to Real American.
I was like, no, that was crazy. All right. Well, we got about 4.5 minutes left, which means I'm going to try to say all of the places where you can find us without passing out due to lack of oxygen. So here we go.
Hold up. Before you do that, don't forget this Sunday we are doing our very first live watch along with WWE Money in the Bank.
That's right. You can hear us complain about it live. I didn't even notice the Chris Jericho comment. Oh, you're normal. You don't like it, Chris Jericho. Okay.
And also, we are going to be doing 3 shows a week. So,
that's right. Starting possibly. Well, at the end, we do have the. We always do the KEPW preview show the night before the KEPW event. But for the weeks that we're not doing that, we're going to be doing an exclusive podcast only. This is going to be only audio available on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and iTunes that you can download, listen to. That's going to be like a deep dive into a single subject. It's not going to be like this where we have a chat and cover multiple things. We're going to be cooking one topic and just dissecting it for the hour or 45 minutes or however long we're going. Yeah, that was pretty good. So, all right, and by Tabitha, now we can get this in. Of course, you can catch us on our normal Facebook page where we are right now. Also on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network Facebook page, as well as their Facebook page, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube channel, all under Northeast Sports Streaming Sports Network. Also, the website nessp.info. This is not your normal.com. Those are all different places you can see us, the videos, either live or after the fact. Of course, as I was mentioning, you can also hear this show in podcast form if you don't want to watch us, or if Mike's face is hurting your eyes like mine.
Or if Joe's face is hurting your eyes like mine.
That is going to be on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. We are working on a few other areas and have some other stuff that could be coming here very soon, and we're going to keep you up to date on all of that information as it happens. And we are going to be doing the roundtable again with everything that's been happening. It's kind of made it to where we've had to work it in, and we're doing some different things. And yeah, I've got we will be putting that out along with a couple other things on the page, just to where it's easier to find, and updating our availability on that. All right. So I got that out in about 2.5 minutes.
For the Tuesday Night Delight, we'll see you back here Sunday for the weekend review, plus the live event, Money in the Bank. So for Mike and Joel and everyone in the chat, thanks for being here. See you same 2 guys time, same 2 guys channel.